Dude, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That probably was better than episode one,
that
just
was
because it was a bit more paced for a Shenmue fan. I feel like it was like the first episode is like that anime punch, getting off with a flying start,
yeah.
but the second episode was a bit more down to earth, um, showing some of the investigation side of things from Rio and the character interactions there, like quite a lot from Yamagishi-san, which was nice.
The
But
fact
yeah,
that
definitely.
the fact
Sorry,
that he
go on.
went to Bailu Village early and gave a bit more
Unbelievable.
Shenhua, a bit more of the
Yeah.
prophecy, Aldier, and some of the Shenmue 3 characters. I mean, for me, that felt you're getting more to the backstory of Shenhua. So when they eventually get there,
Mm.
you've got that there. I also think they're taking Shenmue 3 quite seriously, which is nice.
Yes, that's a good point. And like I was saying, if this does go all the way to the end of Shenmue 2, which I mean, they did say in that Crunchyroll Expo most of Shenmue 2, but the way it's going, if they have squeezed in all the way to the end of Shenmue 2, that opens the door then for anime watchers
Yeah.
coming freshly into the series to just move straight to Shenmue 3 without that, whatever the say if it does end on the rooftop in the anime, they've still got a chunk of Shenmue 2 game that they're either going to skip or if they do play, it's going to be quite a way before they see that. So it might put them off. I don't know. All I'm saying is like it'd be nice to get them straight into Shenmue 3. And then because they've had these scenes in Bailu Village and stuff throughout the 13 episodes, they're already familiar with these Bailu Village characters.
Yeah, and the characterization's there, isn't it? You already know who they are roughly. You've seen them before. You don't necessarily. You might find out a bit more what they do down the line, and I like that. I
Yeah,
like they've actually looked at Bailu and gone, how can we fill this out, and taken it seriously from the source material of the games, which
yeah.
again, I mean, it's just a testament, I think, to how well this has been put together. The soundtrack, though, like it makes this. It really does. The soundtrack is perfect all the way through, from the beginning to the end. The music fits so damn well. They'd be mad not to make a soundtrack here.
I'm interested, how they've gone about doing it because that Shenmue theme, it sounded identical. Like they could have just used dragged and dropped the MP3 from the game or whatever. But then it was like it changed halfway through, added like a bit more to it, a little bit different sound. So it sounds in a way that they've recreated that piece of music, even if you know what I mean.
I think they have. I think they've taken the old music and remixed them all, which is really cool.
Mm,
And then
yeah,
like we're getting more around Yagamashi and his relationship with the WoW, which again it builds extra characterization for a WoW as well as Rio and that family link. That sort of I don't just builds the world and seeing sort of Rio going around asking questions. That detective little bit. It's not very much. It's only like 10 seconds
mm,
here, a few seconds there, but for Shenmue fans like us who've played the games and you do that quite a lot, that sort of stuff's perfect. And then all the Easter
yeah,
eggs, like you could make a video
yeah.
just off of that episode alone, and the amount of Easter eggs that are in there. And there's probably some we've missed, quite
Definitely.
frankly.
I
I
was going to
mean,
say, I bet this seems like there's a lot of detail in that episode
it,
that on future like rewatches, you're definitely going to notice something you didn't, I think, in that because there was so much going on, how the scenes switched from one to the other, next day, and then Rio's at the tattoo parlor, and then he brings him back to like, a different shop and store and stuff, and there's going to be stuff in those stores. I mean, I don't know if George is in the chat, if he's counted how many NPCs are in this episode
I know
this week.
I know Joe and
Oh,
George were
Joe.
looking at looking at
Yeah.
that last week because Joe sent me a quick image together
Mm,
of
mm,
the lunch lady. But I don't like as a Shenmue fan. I think this and Waffle saying he loved it far better than the first. I would agree. I would say this is better than the first episode. I
yeah.
think I think they've absolutely hit the nail on the head with this. You've got
Which doesn't make sense, does it? How can you have something
well,
better than something that was
the
amazing?
bar's been raised again, which is fantastic because then what we're dealing with here now is after two episodes is you've got a real the quality is sky high here. It is fast paced. Let's not beat around the bush about it. And I do think there will be some people out there who have valid criticisms in that it might be a bit fast considering the games. But then if you flip it on its head, you can't have everything in the games, all the running back and forth, etc., all the waiting around. You can't have it in an anime. You have to speed it up. And what they've done here with Yagamashi as well is I think they've used him to link some of it together to bring it into a mesh. So when you come into the next episode, which is obviously when you have the China shop, by the looks of it, you're going to meet the Chens as well, which is going to follow. I think that's going to follow the games much. It's going to follow the games much closer in that respect. But then,
Point Senior Snakes saying there, I think you can tell the guys making this are proper Shenmue fans, which is, I'd agree. But then if you go back to that Crunchyroll Expo when they were interviewing them, it didn't actually sound like they'd played the games 50 times like we had. It was like he was asking that one guy like he remembers seeing posters for it, when it was first came out, and then the other guy said something like he didn't play it back in the day or something. So there's like, considering what they've put in this episode, and I'm assuming each episode to come, these details, these NPCs and these little things that I think a Shenmue fan, I think you'd need to be a Shenmue fan to pick up on those details.
I think that's where...
So to see them in the anime is pretty cool.
That's where I think, they've had access to all the source material. 3 games plus whatever else was and wasn't used, which they've got. Also, with Yu Suzuki as the executive producer on this, he knows what Shenmue fans like and want. So those Easter eggs, etc., wouldn't surprise me, I think, if he was heavily involved in some of those Easter eggs, which is great. But what Sheep is saying is right. It's their version of the story, and they've kept it true to the core element of this story, but with some different twists to it. And I frankly think it's brilliant.
Which is welcome.
Yeah, absolutely welcome. Bring it on, because I just think if you're fleshing this out and you're making this appeal to more people, it's only going to be a good thing. And another interpretation of this story is only going to appeal. Especially, 2 episodes in, the bar is ridiculous. I don't know how they've managed to set the bar so high off one episode and then clear it for the second. But the 3rd episode, if they clear that as well, they do. We've been saying this for ages. They need the anime team to write for Shenmue 4. They really should. Really should.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, that was a good episode.
I think, just touching on the details and stuff, they have also got the beauty of like YouTube and stuff like that, haven't they? So they can quickly see what needs to be, in a certain scene or whatever. If they're playing the games as well, hopefully they played the games through to completion a few times as well, or they might even have a fan on the team. Like someone that is very, very knowledgeable about the series.
Possibly, I mean,
and like you say, there just having the little Shenmue 3 elements in Bailu Village and those characters as well.
I love
doing it so much justice.
They have a Peter on the
I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like I feel like they've got to have someone that is orchestrating to a certain point. They can be coming up with the story, and they've got the artists and the this director and stuff's probably saying like this scene needs to go. He can piece the things together. But at the end of the day, I think from what we've just seen, and especially episode 1 and episode 2. That's these things in there that only a Shenmue fan of like 20 years.
Yeah, definitely.
In my opinion,
I think what they've got right in 2 episodes here, and it is only 2 episodes. We've got a long way to go in this. Is they've got that balance, in my opinion, to catering to us as hardcore 20-year plus Shenmue fans who've been through it all, been through the middle with it, and then to new people coming in who are coming in fresh to this story. Haven't played the game, so may not understand the story and the lore or anything. And they've given that crowd enough. I mean, my wife's watched 2 episodes before me, and she was saying she preferred this episode because my wife's watched it before us, and she was saying that she preferred this episode because it gave more story. It gave you a bit more around what was going on. I think that again, it just ties into that balance they've got. It's a really tricky balance for this team to do, because they go too far towards us. Does it get criticised as being too slow, too pandering to its original fans? They go too far the other way. Do they then get accused of going away from the core fan base? And at the moment, they've got it smack bang in the middle, spot on, absolutely spot on. they've taken the source material and they've obviously read it. They've obviously gone into a lot of care, a lot of detail, a lot of love around it, and they've nailed it. Absolutely nailed it for me.
Yeah, I'm thinking from like a new watcher from the anime. Episode 1 was tailored to like to keep them invested to go into the episode 2.
Yeah.
And then I think because of the story elements in episode 2 now, hopefully that has created like the hook that if they've got to this stage, got to the end of episode 2, they're going to continue to watch it. So episode 1 ended on like a massive, that big fight scene, and that's catered to like an anime fan, in my opinion, whereas episode 2 is catered to a Shenmue fan. But if the anime fan made the decision to watch episode 2 because of how episode 1 was like, an anime feeling sort of an episode, in my opinion, I think then they're going to stick it through to the end now. I'm trying to think like if they've done enough to keep a viewer interested in continuing and I think from what they've done with 1 over into 2 and then 2 now, I think if anyone has watched 2 episodes, they're going to watch it all the way through to the end.
It's also very smart that, I mean, I don't know, they don't do it on Crunchyroll, and I don't know where this airs, this teaser trailer for episode 3, but I'm wondering on Adult Swim whether they're airing this teaser, which we're going to watch in a minute, straight away, so that you've got the you wanted to find out what's happening from the previous episode because you watched the episode, and then they give you that as a well, if you want to find out, watch this, and there's a little scene there. So I think they've been very smart, very, very smart in the way they've pitched this, they've marketed this, and the way they've put it together. And I just think it's just getting people going. It's getting people interested. It's getting people intrigued as to why I'm doing this. And I think it should be a weekly thing. Absolutely. Because the more you do this, the more you're going to gather interest. I do like the recaps at the start of these episodes. Very short recap of what's happened before. Because if you dropped in and you haven't seen it or whatever, you didn't miss a huge amount by watching the first couple of minutes of this, did you?
Yeah.
So I think you can drop in on episode 2.
If that was a recap, or because it ended up being a dream, didn't it? So,
but was it? I'm putting that question out there right now. Was it? He's saying it's a dream, but was it a dream? Did that actually happen? And was that put in there to make people have that discussion? Did he dream it? Did it actually happen? Thank you for the follow, Ducks Forever 19, and welcome. I haven't seen your name before. So it's
thinking if it's a dream, it's a very specific dream because all it was like a dialogue thing, like 3 sentences. So yeah, I get your point. It may have actually happened, and he's dreaming about that event again.
Yeah, because it was in the trailers, and that's why. And we were talking about this in our reactions to the trailers when we did our podcast for it. It's like, and it's giving Landy more, whether it's a dream or not. You're giving him more, and I just, it's almost like it's a friendly warning there from Landy. Don't do this. Don't do this.
It's almost like episode 1 was running over. It was like running over 20 seconds. So
and they were, we'll have it. Yeah, we'll put it in here.
We'll add it in 20. Yeah, episode 2.
Welcome, Ducks. Good to see you.
Which makes sense. If it was a dream, you'd expect a bloody giant bunny in the background going beyond the dojo door.
But the thing is, whether it was a dream or not, and there's obviously going to be 2 schools of thoughts on here. And I reckon it happened. I reckon that was Rhea replaying his events.
I think about it,
in his head, and it's also the and it serves as the interpretation to the dream sequence you have 3 days later before you start the game.
Yeah,
I really like that because you're giving Rio motivation, you're giving Landy some character development. I think I love the fact they did that. It serves more. It gives more characterization. It builds more of the world. It builds more of the motive, and I love it. I love that bit of it. And to
be fair, even if it didn't happen, they didn't allude to it.
No.
So you take it that it's happened.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation. But again, that's really clever writing. I like that because you can sit there and you can discuss this for hours, can't you? And go, did it happen? Didn't it happen? But I like those, and if they do those nightmare, dreamy recap stuff, that'd be really good. Will we see? Here's a question: do we see later on Shenhua in Rio's dreams? It happens in the games. So
interesting.
is that
They've
going to
kind of
happen?
got to, haven't they?
Yeah, is that going to happen? Especially with the characterization around Bailu Village. You're seeing, because I reckon, judging on 2 episodes, we're going to see Bailu every episode. I reckon going forward.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, it
pretty
keeps
convinced.
doing that. Meanwhile, in Bailu Village, and then back in. So that seems like a design choice.
But they're giving you they're not giving you too much, but they give you just enough. Like it's like a spoonful taster, isn't it? It's like just enough to keep you interested. Hey Brett, yeah, the artwork's fantastic at the end as well with the cat.
Artwork, stunning.
Yeah, like they need to be making posters of this shit. They really should. So the artwork, well, the whole artwork, the whole package is just excellent, top notch, all the way through. Yeah, I'm
definitely overshoot my expectations in the artwork, and the animation and the artwork and stuff. Before when you hear Shenmue animes coming, you have kind of like your reservations on the art style, don't you? They're going to go a bit too cartoony, a bit too like humor, but they've got such a nice balance. And the characters actually look like pretty much spot on how you'd want them to look.
But they do. And actually, I think what they've allowed with this anime is they've given our characters some extra elements to them. Ryo's got an extra element to him. Nozomi's a bit more forward. She's a bit more... I'm trying to think of the word. She's more timid in the games, isn't she? She's a lot gentle. She's a lot more gentle in the games. Yeah, bubbly. Yeah, bubbly. I think sums that up quite nicely. She's a lot more bubbly and forward in the way she is with Ryo. She takes the piss out of him a bit as well. I think that relationship there is a little bit different. It's not quite as unrequited here than it is in the... Ryo's quite cold in the games, but here there's a bit. Although I think that's gonna drop off as he goes down his journey and gets sort of sucked into this. That might drop off and he might become a bit more cold because he doesn't want to drop her into it.
That's true. Like the phone call Nozomi Shenson seems out of character, but doing that from the start, it works, doesn't it? It's like because you've kind of got like these two ongoing. What's that word that you'd use? It's like you've got like the game lore and the anime lore, haven't you? So like Nozomi started off as like bubbly from the get-go, whereas in the game you've experienced like her timidness, and then the phone call's a bit of a out of character.
But then I also like the fact that you actually got to see that phone call come in for Nozomi from her father over in Canada. And she's
Where do I find this preview? Is that our channel?
Yeah, it's on our channel.
Okay. Yeah,
we're in no mad rush, but I pulled it up ready just in case.
Oh, I can just watch it on the stream, can't I?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, go on then. Let's do that.
And I love I don't know. They've just absolutely hammered this. They've obviously taken, like I said, I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to repeat it anyway for the hell of it. They've taken this source material, they've studied it, they've gone into it, they've obviously looked at the fan base, and they've obviously looked at everything around it and gone, right, how do we do this? How do we put this together? And how do we cater for 2 crowds? The old school fans, and then bringing new people in. And at the moment, for me, 2 episodes in, given my expectations of the anime, I didn't really have any at all because we didn't know what to expect. This is absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. 2 episodes in, I'm sold. And if the quality of this keeps going up and up and up, where the hell are we going to be in the last episode?
It'd be insane. Just making the point that Vivi's saying there, he's surprised the building doesn't me up as much. See, I mentioned that a little bit because they are, aren't they, to a certain extent? You've got quite a lot of a heavy in the introduction. You've got quite a lot of a heavy in the ending. So if that's just going to be for these first few episodes until they hit the Hong Kong portion, and then maybe the intro and outro of the show changes, and then you kind of forget about Nozomi. I don't know, but there's no room for her in the rest of the series, is there? No, because once Ryo leaves, that's it.
That's it, and she goes to Canada, doesn't she? So I don't know. It's
reckon of building her up to make the moving to character scene a bit more. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I get that.
Which is probably going to happen next episode, right? Or possibly, well, perhaps not. But I'm just saying, like, they alluded to that, didn't they, in that thing where his father rang her or whatever and said, your father's on the phone from Canada.
I mean, sheep's right there. They could be showing her with flashbacks and phone calls, possibly, absolutely. And son, you're right. I mean, we're warming up to the main event, which is Shenmue 2, which is batshit crazy in a game form. So God knows what this is going to be like when we get to it.
That's so exciting, isn't it? It's weird. I can't imagine. I suppose I couldn't imagine how they were going to do Shenmue 1 until now we're seeing the Shenmue 1 portion of the anime. But I really, really, for some reason, I can't imagine how they're going to do Shenmue 2. Because I just feel like there's so much stuff there. It's going to be a delight to digest. But I mean, I can't picture the world. It's going to be. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what it is about Shenmue 2, but just thinking of like Wan Chai and Rhea walking down and Joy's coming past. I can't picture that yet in my head for how that's going to look in the anime.
Stepping off the boat.
Whereas I could kind of imagine in my head how Japan looks. But the Hong Kong portion, the Kowloon stuff, I've got no idea.
But here's a question then, with the Kowloon and Hong Kong stuff. We haven't seen very much of it. We've seen some key art knocking around. That's about it. How much do you? They could, in theory, and this would be quite clever of them. Whenever you leave Japan, whatever episode it is, and you're going to Hong Kong, what about that they then release like a mid-season teaser, like a 2-minute trailer of like Hong Kong Kowloon, and go, all right, here you go. This is the main event. This is the main course now. We're into the serious stuff. They could.
Trying to think back to what we've seen trailer-wise. Have we seen stuff in those first few trailers, like those first 3 trailers? 2, 3, I suppose, because there was like slight differences with the Japanese and the English stuff. Have we seen anything in there that's yet to happen that you can think of?
Off the top of my head, immediately right now, no. But I'd have to rewatch the trailers and confirm that later. But
yeah.
I think we haven't seen Landy on the boat.
Okay.
So that we know that's happening.
Oh, we haven't seen him going into the basement, getting the
No, we haven't seen that yet.
So I'm trying to think, like, would they go out of the way to do what you're saying, a Hong Kong trailer?
I think they would. I think they would.
Obviously, if we're getting these 2 previews, we're getting a preview and then we're getting like a clip from the episode. If Hong Kong is the next episode, do they need to do a trailer?
I think it's incredible. I think it's incredibly smart that they do, because you're almost drawing a line under it, and then like and Sun is saying here we've said it ourselves. They haven't showed much of Shenmue.
Yeah.
Of Shenmue 2. So if they go in there and smash out a 2-minute trailer of what we're to expect, I think we'd be in business.
You know what's hilarious? I mean, I don't know. You're going to be releasing this interview soon, right? What was your clip earlier for Natalie? Just so I don't spoil anything.
That was Shenhua's character brief that she was given when she auditioned. And if you there's a funny thing about the prophecy in that interview.
Right, okay. So this is what I was going to talk about. So if you say this, then I can say what I was going to say.
So it's a little spoiler of the interview, but bollocks to it because it's not out yet for a couple of weeks. And Natalie was really good, actually, when I interviewed her last week. And she was saying that the prophecy trailer that we got in October at the Comic-Con, that was her audition tape / first take of the prophecy. And they used it, and then she got a phone call from a director saying, they've released this trailer of Shenmue, you need to deny that you're in it because they haven't announced the cast yet.
Which is hilarious, isn't it? So in August, they were using an audition of her voice that she recorded. So this obviously isn't true, but you don't think they sat somewhere in a room still fucking, shit, we need to crank this out, guys.
Hey, Grey Fox.
10 weeks to get this Kowloon section drawn. They're not still working on the show, are they? The show is done.
Yeah, it's 100% done. They were finishing it off when they were recording the voices.
Thinking that that'd be funny if that's the reason we've not seen any of it yet. It's because they actually hadn't drawn any. They're still doing it.
I know for a fact that, and this again, I don't mind saying this, is that both the actors that I've interviewed were saying that some of the scenes were still sketched. So they had the scripts, but they didn't have like the moving anime particularly.
So it's still fresh in a way, isn't it? Because remember that very first trailer they showed us? I think it was the Crunchyroll Expo. They showed that trailer, didn't they?
Yeah.
There was a couple of scenes where Rio didn't have a patch on the back of his jacket.
Yeah,
Did he?
so they were
It's
finishing it
like they
off.
hadn't even finished. Yeah.
Yeah, they hadn't finished it. So the fact they've gone from, because that was October, we don't know how old that trailer was when it obviously was made. It was probably a few months back, but they've finished this off really quickly.
So it's not long been tied up then, really, has it? And they're
and then
releasing it instantly. I don't know if that's typical of animes.
I have no idea, but then they've pumped this out quite quickly, which I'm not of. I didn't think we were going to get this till the summer.
To be fair, I suppose that's typical of video games these days, though, isn't it, as well? Because you get your day one patch or whatever, they're shipping it before they've even finished it.
And I know on some anime Blu-rays, what they do is they go back to some scenes and touch them up if they're not quite right in the
Oh, right.
yeah,
interesting.
When they're aired on TV. Shenmue 4 Fly in the Tomato Store. If they do that, I'll lose my shit, quite frankly. If it does get renewed for a second season, when will we hear that news? I don't know. I really don't know. I've been talking to Jason DeMarco, who's one of the producers of this. I'm trying to nail down a date for him to come on the show. Excuse me. So I will certainly ask what are the parameters they work to.
Yeah. Hopefully they can talk about some of the plans. Like, I mean, you assume they're going to release it on DVD. You assume there's going to be a soundtrack. Yeah. But yeah, that would be nice to know. Like, how do they base how successful it needs to be in order to get a second season?
Yeah, exactly. What is the bar to get a second season? I think is the question here. I mean, do
you think you're hitting it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. This is the thing, we do not know. I know TV viewing figures in America first week had it around 212,000 viewers in America.
Which, I mean, to me, sounded good, but
I mean, bearing in mind this airs at midnight over there, so that's quite a good number for midnight. And then you've got Crunchyroll.
Specifically that English dub, right? That Toonami English dub.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got the video on demand stuff through Crunchyroll, through people watching on Adult Swim as well. So if you've got all that engagement together, there's no reason you can't be picking up 1 million views on this. In my personal opinion. So I mean, I don't know what the parameters are. If it's engagement and you are getting millions of million viewers, 2 million viewers every week, then I think we're in business. And if if the numbers hold this week in America in terms of the TV viewing figures, and they keep holding, and the video on demand stuff keeps holding, then we're in business, I think. And then you've got merch and everything else as well. And if that all sells out, I think we'd be well on the way. Ethan, we watch it in Japanese. It's Japanese with English subs. We don't have a English dub version on Crunchyroll, unfortunately. I'm still trying to get hold of an Adult Swim version. I got one last week, but I haven't had one yet, which is a bit of a bummer. But hey, because the English dub's quite good. But I think, which I see the chat talking about Shenmue 3, the anime can fill in so many gaps in Shenmue 3. What we got in terms of story for Shenmue 3, in my opinion, was literally Ryo's story without the fleshing out because they didn't have the time to do it. Now they have the time to do it. So if they can expand on a WoW being in Bailu, Grandmaster Fang, they can expand on Xiling in Niaowu. They could even bring back Baisha for all we know. And go through all of Niaosen's introduction and expand on that as well. They have so much they can bloody do. So much they can do.
They really need to do that, don't they? I'd love that if they speaking to the characters and they're describing a WoW more, because we had little hints of it.
There was
I feel like
tiny bits, but those tiny bits can be expanded upon. Like, why did they leave Bailu? We don't know. How long were they in Bailu? All the rest of it. And I stand by this, actually, at the moment. Shenmue 3 pulling a No Man's Sky would be nice. It would be, but they haven't got the money to be doing that, I don't think. I think it's Shenmue 4 or bust. But speaking of Shenmue 4, I think this anime is probably our best opportunity of getting it. I mean, you look at the buzz around the community at the moment. You look at the buzz within anime scenes. I think, we're in a good place. Mr. Muscles lifting weights in the gym. I think he'd be lifting the gym, not just the weights. Christ! And you see now,
awesome to see this stuff though.
You see how ripped bloody Tony and Smith are. Imagine how big Mr. Muscles is going to be. The size of a house.
You've got the beauty of with the anime to really do Shenmue 3 justice, I think.
Yeah,
Because there is things you know the flaws in Shenmue 3. We've talked about them before. So if they can add more story, some more lore, add those back into what we wanted, kind of thing, but they ran out of time. I think that's just going to be amazing to have that alongside the Shenmue 3.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're talking like way far ahead. We're talking the Shenmue 2, the season 2 of the anime. So it's a long way away, but you can have these pipe dreams, can't you? Where
absolutely,
because this is kind of, I know they're doing different takes on the games, but it's still kind of canon. So especially when it gets to the Shenmue 3 stuff.
Well, yeah,
you
because
can
the best,
believe in that more, can't you?
The main story, the main core story is canon. It is canon.
Yeah.
But what they do to flesh it out can become canon to fill in those gaps with Shenmue 3. And the Shenmue 3 is a discussion that's been had for a couple of years now, and we know the situation around that game. But I think and I said this at the top of the when we were summing this up, the fact they've gone to Bailu Village and given those characters a bit of airtime, and showed Aldia, I think that they're showing Shenmue 3 some respect in terms of where it fits. Whatever people think of the games, whether you liked it or hate it, it's actually being shown some respect here. And I like that because it's a Shenmue game, it's a continuation. Whether people liked it or not, it's there. And now they've got the opportunity to expand upon that. So it's only a good thing in my book. And Son, you're right, exactly. They're including things in the anime that were in the original scripts we didn't get in the games. So what else was there that we don't know about? I mean, what did they plan for Shenmue 3 that didn't make it, like the changed ending, that could make the anime? But yeah, this anime is top notch. The bar is set up here. It's ridiculous how well they've done with this. 2 episodes in, I'm absolutely sold. And if anybody has sort of been doubting this and is a bit unsure about the anime, you can leave your doubts at the door because you're in for a treat.
That's a good point that Sheep says there. The fact that Shenmue 3 is, a bit lackluster in the story department is probably a good thing for the anime team that are trying to create their own thing, aren't they? Because they do have the beauty then to expand on, the little things that Shenmue 3 introduced.
Yeah.
And make it their own at the same time.
Yeah, I mean...
Very good.
Now, you may have seen on our Twitter heavy spoilers if you click on the link I've put out. But we also know the next the episode names for episodes 3, 4, and 5. So episode 3 is Yin Yang, episode 4 is called Shackles, and episode 5 is called Equals. Now, I just warn you, because I did this. I clicked on...
It's the synopsises, yeah.
Yeah, I clicked it just because I was having a look. And...
Okay. You're not reading them out now, are you?
No.
Okay.
No,
I was going to say, I didn't know where you're taking that.
But I just say the link on Twitter... I got spoiled in terms of a few little bits. Don't click it. Okay. Don't click it. If you don't want spoilers, don't click it. Simple as that. It didn't spoil this episode. It doesn't spoil the contents of episodes.
Well,
but...
title-wise, doesn't spoil anything, does it? Because I'm thinking like Shackles sounds like Nozomi getting tied up or something, possibly. Equals, I can't even think what that would refer to.
No, but...
And then the next one's called Yin and Yang, which I was thinking is going to be a bit more based on the mirrors and the lore behind the mirrors.
So I've put it out there, and people are old enough to make their own decisions as to whether you click that link or not. But just it's out there.